Hello, gorgeous people. Today I'm going to continue with the theme of taking sides. There was something that came to me whilst I was meditating with the emissaries, and I thought, wow, I'm going to share that. So I'll tell you all about it on the other side, taking that one. So I was talking to the emissaries about sides, and for them it's very important at the moment. They've talked about this 3 times to me, about sides. And they said that there are no sides. There are no sides to take. And that what we need to do. And what I'm talking about is, right, everything is taking sides, but let's focus on the current thing that's happening in Israel and Palestine, okay? And they were saying, the only side that you can take is the side of the innocent people who were caught up in this. So we must not take sides. And I think this applies to everything. We mustn't take sides. The only side that we can take is the side of good, light, God. But even understanding who's on our side, it's difficult. And so the only side that we can take is the side of the innocent people who were caught up in this. And there are lots of innocent people caught up in this. Wherever the truth lies, we must focus on those people, the innocent people. And the emissaries were saying what we need to do is we need to, basically in our prayers, in our meditations, or whatever, we should be focused on peace. That's what we want, not stopping wars or anything like that, or anything except peace. That's what we want. That's what we want to focus on. That's what we want to meditate on. Peace. So that these poor people who are suffering can have peace. Yeah? So moving on to the next conversation I had with them, what I've noticed is this, right? There are some people that I listen to that I would say are not awakened, but they have interesting takes on things. And I'll give you an example. Jordan Peterson. I listen to him. I'm aware that he's not awakened. He is to a certain degree, but very, very far from it. When you hear him, if you hear him enough, you know that he hasn't woken up to a lot of things. And then there's a Jewish guy called Ben Shapiro, right? And he has interesting opinions. I've listened to a lot of his opinions, but he's not awake by any means. But these are people that kind of, in terms of opinions, I've admired. And then there are truthers that I've also admired at times, for what they've said. And what I'm seeing is that they are taking sides, but in a big way. Not just in the, blah, blah. Not in the, and these people should die, and this should be stopped, and this is terrible, and we need to go and kill them, and all of that, right? And I'm thinking, wow, what is going on with these taking sides? It's like so extreme. It's so extreme. Can you remember George Bush, the son, when he said, you're either with us or you're against us? You remember that? That really stood out to me. It's very painting the very, very, very clear sides. You're with them or you're with us. You're great or you're a twat. Yeah? And that's where we are, right? So I was saying to the emissaries, what's going on with all of this side taking? When we know fine well that we don't know the truth. I said, it's not like it was a boxing match. And then the penny dropped. And I realised that yes, it is. Yes, it is. What is being created around us is like the American wrestling, the show. This is a show. And it's always based on 2 sides, 2 opponents. Which one do you follow? It's bread and circuses. And the emissaries showed me, they took me back to the Roman times in the amphitheatres, okay, in the Colosseum. what did they do? One against another. And the people would bet on the sides, they would cheer for the sides, they would have flags out. Just like in football matches, flags, holding up the flags. What do we see all of the time? En masse, people putting flags up. This is my side. This is my team. There is no difference. You know the whole sporting arena was set up. It was created. I mean, it's always been there, but all what we see today, this professional sport that millions of people follow, that was all created by the Rothschilds, I think, or the Rockefellers, one of the two, the Rocks. Yeah, it was created by them as a distraction, bread and circuses, but also it was created to create this polemic, to get people accustomed to choosing sides, to get people accustomed to becoming frenetic, to being in a frenzy over who's right and who's wrong, who's good and who's bad, who's the best and who's not. And that's where we are. That's where we are today. The other thing that the emissary said is this: we mustn't read too much into what these people who have a very big voice are saying. We mustn't read too much into them. They said, don't take it as being real. And what the implication of what they were saying was that these people are part of the narrative that is being played out in this timeline. There's a narrative, there's a storyline, there's a theme that runs through it. And so just because it doesn't make sense to us, because it seems silly or crazy or bad that they do that, that's just because they are, the emissary said, they're not real people. Right? That's what they said. They're not real people. What they are part of the narrative. Okay? Now my mind, I've tried to get my mind around this. Like, I know that Jordan Peterson is a real person because I've seen interviews, him with his daughter and on the, but you know, they're part of the narrative. We're all part of the narrative. We're all part of this story that's being played out. But I think we mustn't take them too seriously. And we mustn't believe that they are us and we are them. And we mustn't believe that they are the same as us and we are the same as them. And we must keep reminding ourselves that this is just a narrative. It really is just a narrative. It's a virtual reality game that's being played out. And that's tough. That's tough for me to even get my head around. That's tough for me to accept. But the more that we go through this, the more ridiculous it becomes, the more unexplainable it becomes, the more meaningless or this lack of concordance that we see is making me think, well, there's a rabbit off, isn't there? There's something wrong with this picture because it doesn't make any sense. The only sense that I see is this. Let's have you taking sides. Because when you take sides, what have you done? Well, you've alienated yourself from half of the people. There is never going to be a coming together. And you got your flag there and you're screaming, my team should win. And they're screaming the same. And that's a shame. And so that's what we've got to avoid. All of this side taking. And when we see it, just see it for what it is, but don't enter into it. You know, don't be part of it. That's all. That's the best that we can do. And it's really hard because constantly we're being challenged to take sides. Constantly we're being asked to take sides. All the time. And it's hard. It's hard. So let's keep working on that. Let's see how that one works out for us, eh? But for the moment, I'm just keeping myself to myself. I am. I'm going to keep myself to myself. What I do is this. I do. Some doo-doo on the floor there. What I do is I do say, like, for example, people who talk about politics, politics absolutely leaves me cold. But I do say, well, my opinion is that politics is fucked. Okay? And then that's it. And they've got nothing to say. You know, it's like, they say, who are you, Manchester City or Manchester United? And you say, I think football is a pile of shit. There's no more conversation after that. There isn't any more conversation. Where do you go from that? So the kind of, it stops people in their tracks. You know, when you say, I believe that the political world is corrupt and fucked, and I'm not interested in it. It's not where the answer lies. Then people go, oh, I had a big argument about how important Labour was and how bad Conservatives were. And that's the only place. It's like a no man's land of not interested, not this. Yeah, that's the best that we can do, really, is kind of stop it or just walk away when people get into politics. I mean, honestly, when people talk about politics, when people argue about politics, it's like in my mind, it's just shouting like this. I am wasting my life being present in this conversation. Do anything else. Go and do anything. Go and pick your nose. At least that's more productive than talking about football. Go and, I don't know, wash your mouth out with vinegar. At least that'll be more pleasant than listening to a conversation about politics. It's not just pleasant. It's like, what for? What for? So there you are. That's where they want us like this, and we need to be like this. Okay? I love you all. I'll speak to you all later. Bye-bye.